They'll be calling you a radical. This will be the most important video that I ever do, ever. First, I want to lay out a little bit of background about me, and then I'm going to talk about the miracles and how I was able to defy all odds and be alive. As me being alive today, as it has been exactly 1 year, as I was told by multiple doctors, there was no hope, no hope, no hope. There was no hope. It took one miracle after another to save me. As today, I made this journey and this path down here. It's about circles. It's time for this circle to close and a new circle to begin. People that have watched this vlog, before I go on, I want you to know how epic this 1 year has been, how hard it's been, how emotional, how devastating, how spiritual. I don't think many people, they'll go off on a little tyrant on take my videos out of context. What I've been going through. I have an extremely rare, extremely aggressive form of cancer that even if I would have got it even a couple years ago, I would have been dead by Christmas of last year. As I have this big thing with the number 11. My background, I grew up here in Utah. Grew up on a huge ranch out here with incredible dynamic uncles, and my uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day, real famous. My incredible father, my amazing artist mother, who is a Woodbury artist, a pinup artist. As Vargas himself used to say about her, not only was she could draw like a camera, she could have been her own model. My father, who looked just like Elvis. My mom used to say, I married because he looked like Elvis with muscles. I had this epic, romantic, beautiful life as a boy with these hand-cart pushing romantics as the very, very first people who came to Utah as far as the Mormons. And I think this needs to be said too. They weren't the first people here. This was Mexico when they came. They came right to this inch of real estate where my ancestors, I come from infamous bloodlines on both sides. That monument right there is the monument to the Mormon Battalion. My grandpa was the guy, a socialist. I started trading cattle futures at 14 years old. I was autistic, very autistic. Couldn't tie my shoes till I was 10, 12 years old. I knew derivatives. I knew futures. I was taught by my dad, my grandpa, my uncles in the great cattle futures of Ogden where I lived. Those ranchers would come in there with suitcases of cash. Well, as life evolved, I got that hawking trowel in my hand and I became a plaster. Had a very romantic, incredible life with all these beautiful Utah. Utah was epic for females, epic for music. It was an incredible, progressive, magnificent place in the 60s and 70s. I was an artist. I was always an artist from a very young age. Came from that artist mother of mine who, wow, what an artist. As life went along, my father, the Marine, drafted Marine, started to get sick when I was a little boy. He was 8. Started to have these seizures. Incredible, horrible seizures at the kitchen table, whatever. My grandma would go on a tirade, that incredible woman that she was. Those incredible 2 grandmothers of mine that raised me, as they were not the Mormon female of today. The Mormon female of the day, they're pathetic. Those women were strong. They were progressive. They were intelligent. They were dying. They took no shit from nobody. They were smart. They were hardworking. They were charismatic. The Mormon female of the day, pop Prozac, not even close. As they raised me on that ancient lake floor, on this ancient lake floor, I started to understand the tale that he'd been drafted as a Marine and he'd been put in the trenches in Nevada test site, and he'd been human guinea pig and nuked. Because my uncle, the famous fighter pilot, the NFL football player, was at the Pentagon. He knew. He was outraged. My other uncle, Omaha Beach, D-Day vet uncle, we're both still alive, outraged. My dad, he would go in and out, come back and forth, come back and forth. Well, as I got older, got married, went along with my plastering business, had an I love that plastering. Had that long blonde hair with that hawking trowel in my hand, muscles from head to toe, this beautiful Utah sunshine on my back, using all that art of mine. Creating, I did 10,000 frescoes in this valley. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Well, in the meantime, I was still trading futures. Well, we were just lucky enough to have the greatest finance professor in America at the time, Dr. Clyde Cooley, at our university, Weber State. So I went there as I was a little bit older. We were the #1 school of finance in the country. As I graduated, I went right to Wall Street. I was a derivative arbitrage specialist all through the 90s. Semiconductor analyst, investment banker, hugely successful career. Had incredible, beautiful wife, incredible, beautiful children, had gods of money, had life so made. Well, all of a sudden, I get a call from my wife one day. She's crying. It's your dad. I'm like, what? He has leukemia. No. This is a guy who never had a cavity in his life. Incredible man. Prime of his life. So I come home. He's dying of leukemia. He has ABL. So I go to our university. You haven't heard about Clyde? No. What? It's our brilliant MBA program. His brain's under attack from some crazy cancer. Both of them dying at the same time. Then my wife informs me she's leaving me. I was devastated. I was so devastated as it went on. And my father died. He died at sunset, not like Ronald Reagan, a staged, epic freaking thing. He really did die. He lived an incredible life. Incredible life. It was so heartbreaking. Watched him load him in the body bag. Then Clyde goes. I was devastated. It was all over. I couldn't go back to Wall Street. We had a new MBA program at our university. Kyle Madsen stepped in. He says, Kevin, you got to help me. I can't handle Clyde Cooley's program. He's the most brilliant finance professor. Who could fill his shoes? It's impossible. You've been on Wall Street. You went through his program. You were there was only 27 grads your year. You can do this. You've got to help me. I says, I will help you. And I did. Then he gets some rare cancer out of the blue at 54 in his lung, and he's gone. You know, so I started digging in more and more because I was very interested. When I first went to college in the early 80s, I went to the U, and Stegner was there. I got to know Stegner because I was an environmentalist. I was like the whole country, anti-nuclear, anti-nuclear. 1981, 82, you know, millions, 1.2 million people marching in Central Park alone. We had hundreds of thousands marching here. I was anti-nuclear. I was an artist. I got to know Stegner. I got to know Edward Abbey. I got to know the whole downwinder as Scott Matheson had passed. I was outraged. So I started teaching. I went back to my plastering career, my hawking trowel. Well, I fell off a roof in 2005. As I said, I've got children to raise. I can't live on $20,000, $30,000 a year. I fell. I was trying to outwork 10 people. Took some chances. A contractor that was exploiting illegals had put a gutter on and hadn't spiked the gutter. I fell 30 feet on concrete. I broke my back and severed my tongue. Severely critical. Had good insurance. Exhausted my insurance. I'm one of those uninsurable. Well, I got better. Thought, I'm going to go back to Wall Street. Call my boss, Anthony. He says, Kevin, you know, I retired. My son ran, so I told his son, he's like, Kevin, you don't know what's gone on in Wall Street, do you? And I said, no. I mean, I'm still trading on derivatives. I traded so many derivatives in the 90s and everything when I was there. I would call the CBOE, the secretary there would say, Mr. Blanch, what strike do you want? What prices? Derivatives on equities have only been around since the early 80s. It's like Christmas to me. I made huge scores for years. You people that have followed along my financial advice know that. He said, we've been all replaced by PhD computers. The entire industry's been gutted. People like you, one math PhD is replacing 300 people. So I got access into the websites where they hire, and I'm like, oh my God, it's true. Wow. I was outraged, so I said, what the hell? Just go back to school and get my PhD. So that's how this YouTube gig started, with this PhD. Well, in the meantime, I'd been researching my whole life on why we're the autism capital of the world here on the Wasatch. Why are we the asthma, which I had both as a child? Why are we the leukemia cancer? And I knew that my dad had been human guinea pig, so I started fighting with the Justice Department with the help of my uncle at the Pentagon, the retired fighter pilot. I fought and I fought and I fought with him. I sued him and I sued him and I sued him as Rob Bishop, our piece of shit, became later, in 2000, became our congressman. He's a piece of shit. As Jim Matheson here, I got to know very well as the son. He fought for me, he fought side by side with me, as so many of us downwinders have fought. It engulfed my whole life. It turned into my life, my PhD, post-ignorance, to prove how ignorant we have become in this country. I wanted to prove that we're the ignorant people. As this YouTube started with an argument with some other professors that I could use the word fuck. And then BP happened. And it got into the core of my root of who I am. I'm an environmentalist. I'm an artist in my core. I was outraged. As you know, I went off and I went off. Then Fukushima, that morning, I woke up, I went crazy. You know, I ran and I gave the very first report on Earth. Spilled it out exactly how this was going to play. Said that it was a full core meltdown. Gunderson arguing with me, Busby arguing with me, all these people. The only person that stood by my side was Helen, that brilliant woman, She was right, I was right. As I ran and raved and carried on, 1 year ago, October 13th, finished my PhD, gave a lecture in front of a whole bunch of professors about Fukushima. I was going to give everybody leukemia on September 26th. October 13th, I got a stomach ache. Thought I had food poisoning. Went to the emergency room, sent me home. Got worse, went to the emergency room, sent me home. This went over and over. As malpractice, as doctors are pieces of shit. Pieces of shit. Brown, the emergency room, okay, you should be in a jail cell. I could go off on this whole subset. I've seen 12 different doctors. Finally, they CAT scanned me. You're plumb full of tumors in your right lower mesentery. They biopsied it. It's live. I was told it had metastasized to my liver. Told that I had an ulcer. Blamed all the symptoms on the ulcers. There's no hope, Kevin. Maybe 2 months. Told my daughter that. Told me every day. Went into this surreal, horrible, horrible state. It was horrible. I didn't give up. I had faith in myself. I dug in, found a YouTube video that said a lot of these pathologists get the biopsy wrong on carcinoid cancer. My light went on. I went down here to the Huntsman. Those pieces of phony shit did nothing for me. Phone conversation, they're still trying to sue me for $1,200 for a phone conversation. Finally, I found Dr. Hansen. I finally found two 70-year-old oncologists. Went and seen him. He says, Kevin, you're Thomas Blanch, Marston Blanch, the famous neurosurgeon, the famous guy who started the Arden Clinic. They're your family, huh? And I says, yeah. He says, you know, he was my best friend, Kevin. I know of your work. You're right. We are all downwinders. I've been saying it for 15, 20 years. He knows it. I've been writing about it. I'm ranting about it every chance I get. He knew that. He says, yeah, both my father and my brother died of thyroid cancer. You're right. He says, I'm glad you didn't have that surgery. They says, your only hope, they were scheduled to gut me. They were going to take my whole guts out. I refused the surgery. He says, do you know leukemia can form in tumors? It only happens 1 in 5 to 10,000 cases. It's called de novo ROS. They bone marrow biopsied me that day. He called me the next day, a year ago, today. Kevin, get down to the top of LDS to the bone marrow transplant center now. I just broke down. It's over. Bone marrow transplant. It's over. He said, no. You don't know, Kevin. I have great hope for you. You could hear his voice cracking up. You're tough. You're strong. You have an extremely horrible, aggressive cancer that's eating you alive. I went from 173 to 129 in 3 weeks. Sent home from Mercy. Shoot me up with morphine. I was in the parking lot at Ogden Regional, cramped over. Malpractice. 12 different doctors gave me no hope. Told me, just go home. You're fine. Just go home and die. I says, I'm not going to LDS that night. He says, no, you don't know. Greta, my caseworker, called me. She says, we're under construction. I says, you've been under construction since I was a kid. There's a unit up there, top 8. Their motto. I get in there. If you want to go to the Huntsman and eat the good food and stay in the hotel, go ahead. You want to live, you come here. It's a bunch of guys from all over the country, all over the world. Dr. Peter's from Denmark, who my bloodlines are from Denmark, because they landed right here from the streets of Copenhagen, as did Dr. Hansen's. A Danish philosophy of mine. My brain is, I believe that our subconscious can tell us everything we listen to, and I listen to it. When everybody was telling me I was going to die, I thought deep down my soul I'd had a dream, and I kept telling that dream that I was not going to die. And I had faith in myself, and I dug in, and I went in there in critical condition. I went in there that first day, a year ago today. I was so afraid, I was so scared, I was so sick, I was in this real broken state. I went in there. Stood me naked in the freaking tube, x-raying me, beaming freaking lasers all over me, and the guy who was helping me, he says, "You're big through the chest, Kevin. You're strong." And I says, "I had that Hawking trial in my hand for all those years." He says, "You're going to need every bit of it. I've been here for 30 years. Trust me, you're going to need every bit of it." I did need every bit of it. They stuck me up, they put me in the operating room. They went into my spine. They went into my brainstem. They put the central line into my jugular. Threw me up in the room as I was puking and puking. My bowel had been constricted. The doctor come in and he says, "Have you been eating?" "Yeah." "You mean to tell me all these doctors never restricted your diet?" "No." He said right to me, "Talk about malpractice. If your bowel's ripped, you're done." I didn't have a bowel movement for 12 days. I was in so much epic pain. As I fell off that roof and severed my tongue, I broke my back. I broke every bone in my body in my leg. As I like to say, you think I was born with these scars across my face? It took years living in this violent place. I was given no hope. I went in there. They immediately started mega chemo on me. Hardcore. It was my only hope. And you, all you people that watch this, and you fucking armchair doctors, go fuck yourself in your fucking long groups. You people think you could sit here and pull that stunt. You know, I read a thing that you don't know nothing. I wouldn't recommend chemo for my freaking worst enemy. But when you're in the situation like AML, these cancers like this, it's your only hope. It's your only hope. You're going to be dead in days. So I went in there. Me and my nurse with me. What a beautiful, amazing girl. It was just her and I. Hang on, Kevin. My CNA, Melanie, and Tiffany, and all those incredible Utah girls. Up on my back, rubbing my back, tickling my hand in the night. As I was critical. I had so many brushes with death. As I looked out at that window, top 8, down across this valley. Never left that room for a long time. I would look down on the Cathedral of the Madeleine every day. But without food and water for freaking weeks and weeks and weeks. Lived on the bag. Finally on Thanksgiving, I was so sick, and I've got vanilla flavored booze, strawberry booze, trying to wean myself, trying to get me off the bag. My nurse is in there. I'm so sick. It was so good. Kevin, hang on. Don't you fucking give up. Don't you give up. I wanted to give up. I gave up so many times. I fought and I fought and I fought. I've used every square inch of my fabric, every fiber of my being, in my art, my creativity, my finance, my brain, my logic, my ideas, my hyperbole, my deep subconscious. As those angels, those spiritual healers on social media came to my side, those girls came to me. I used all that spirituality as the birds. As you shoot that video, those sandhill cranes came to me, that sandpiper came to me, that little bird at the jetty came to me. I use that spiritual, and if you think the early Mormons were not pagan and spiritual and birds, you better go walk down to the temple and look up and see the symbolism on the sides of those buildings. As for the Mormons are not Christians anymore. They are not. As they count me as a Mormon. I quit participating at 14 because of the thing. They're not the Christians who raised me. They put up this facade that they're take care of their own, and they're the great charitable organization. They're not. They did nothing for me, never visited me, never came to me. Kev, I live in the middle of them. 6th generation. Where I live on that sacred said ground, very first person in the entire area. My name. First person buried in the cemetery. First person freaking all of it. Me. My bloodlines. They wouldn't even, it's not even, would they not even come by my house, they would look the other way. Because there's me as the rest of the country. This video is for people who, so many of you, as Fukushima is raining over us, so many of you, as this hat, the metaphorical significance is everything. As I put this hat on, orange, the leukemia color. Leukemia color, orange. Henson, as his religious indoctrinated belief, as so many of you guys throw out, Rick Simpson has killed more people than Hitler. Is it about your diet before you get cancer? Oh yes. After you get cancer and survive? Oh yes. During it? Oh no. You've got to survive, as they shot you up with freaking all kinds of freaking dope to keep you alive. As 2012, the year of the giant comeback. Orange, the leukemia color. As those San Francisco giants, as those New York giants, as they were down. They had no chance, 1,000 to 1, both of them. Down, 2-0 on the road, the year of the giant comeback. Jim Matheson here, the year of the giant comeback. Orange, me, the year of the comeback. As I was in that room on New Year's Eve, he says, "What are you doing?" I was so sick. I says, "I'm so glad 11's over." As my 2 little grandsons were born, 1 week apart, in 11, near my birthday. I was so fearful about that thing. I had a premonition that I was going to die that year. Almost happened. I says, "I'm so glad it's over." I was at a blood transfusion. They said, "What are you doing for New Year's?" I'm having a Gothic New Year's. 2 nurses, a blood transfusion right next to the Path of the Prophets in the oldest hospital in the Western United States. Blood transfusion after blood transfusion. No hope, no hope, no hope, no hope. But I live to tell. And I will stand by your side. As this circle is closed for me, my brilliant finance career is over. My brilliant teaching career, probably over. My Hawking trial is probably over. As I need to close this circle, and I mean, as it is on its 8. I want you to know the hat needs to come on, because I've had it on. It is about post-ignorance, and this place is ignorant. It is the me generation. It was those, not baby boomers and echo boomers, who tried to kill me, the malpractice doctor who tried to. It was the greatest generation, those 2 old oncologists. If you get sick, somebody every minute, Fukushima's going to kill millions. I'll stand by your side. I will stand by your side. I'm going to start a foundation today. I'm launching my foundation today. Blanch Schwartz, Kevin D. Blanch, Kevin Dwayne Blanch, my father. As those little angels who died in there. So many of them died. Because there's so many dynamic, creative cancers that are killing people. This journey has been so hardcore. It's been so epic. And I've been so emotional today. It took one miracle after another. But I'm alive. I'm alive. Those spiritual healers, those women, social media, they gathered together. You guys know who you are. I love all of you so much. As you came to my side. I've been so sick for a year. I've been so sick, and I've fought through it, and I've used everything I fucking could use. This freaking evil killer cells ripped these fucking off my body, destroyed me, I had money. I had built my life back up. I had $500,000 in stocks. As you know how all the financial calls I'd made as people following my along. Short silver at 50, buy Apple at freaking, in the derivatives market. I turned small money into $500,000. People don't realize what cancer does to you. It devastates you financially. I forked it all over. Every penny. Financially destroyed, wiped out to the penny. I don't care. My grandma used to say that beautiful, spiritual, real Christian woman. Your body's a temple, Kevin. That's all you have. So true. As the environmental poisoners, you Call yourselves Christians. As Rob Bishop right up here, you call your own Christians. You kill Mother Earth and you kill us. That's my life going forward, my entire life. That little girl, she died. My little 5-year-old friend who had one in her brain. There's only 4 of us. With this freaking rare thing here. One is dying right now. Fighting her ass. Really bad. Beautiful little angel. She didn't lose, she won. Her spirit's so pure she passed on. She would draw pictures of angels before she was dying. So many of you are going to fight this. This Fukushima is going to kill millions. And you environmental poisoners, you are murderers. You are devils. You are the devil. To exploit Mother Earth for short-term profits and kill, as it is the jet stream. We were all connected together. As I live to tell, if I'm alive, I'm alive because of the miracles that I got. Epic hardcore freaking emotion. I'm so happy to be alive. I'm so happy. Kevin Blanch, post-ignorance.